if you guys raise your hand, we'll go ahead and start with questions. Let's start with Charlie here, right on the right side.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning. A little off topic, but it looks like you spent some of your bye week with Coach Gruden.
Yep.
Was there more than just dropping off that care package? What went down with you guys?
Yeah, so Coach Gruden and I met this summer, and obviously, Coach just likes talking ball. We met down in Mobile at the Senior Bowl golf tournament, and so I've just stayed in touch. And during I think it was 2 weeks before the bye week, I reached out to him and just said, "Hey, I'm thinking about coming down there and just talking some ideas." So Coach is great with stuff like that. I just sent him some kind of a request list of some things I'd like to talk about with him, and he's got more film than NFLfilms.com. So he's unbelievable, man. But no, it was great.
Go to Chase on the far left there.
A lot of staffs like to use the idle week to self-evaluate and look for tendencies that they can break so that other teams can't scout them as easily. Is that something y'all engage in? And if so, how did that go?
Yep, we did. I can't tell you anything we found. That would be silly of me, but we certainly did that, and there's plenty to work on. I think that's the big thing. The guys know that. Was really impressed with the practice that we had yesterday. Some of the things that we've addressed with the guys that we got to continue to get better at. I think that's where it starts. Is there's a belief that improvement can still happen at this portion of the season, and certainly our guys believe that.
Go to Nick on the far right.
Yeah, talking to you for the first time since South Carolina, what was your kind of vantage point, how the last few minutes went after the way the game had gone before that?
Well, I think I mentioned it before, I just thought our guys, that was probably one of our biggest growth moments of the season was the fourth quarter of that game. Certainly, that could have been reminiscent of the Florida State game and, the guys not being able to find a way to get it done and make the plays that had to be made late in a football game. And just give a ton of credit to the guys, just the resiliency and the mindset to be able to go make those plays. Because I think it's easier said than done. You can get in a state of mind when things aren't working that you just fall back into, like, it's not going to work. And I thought they, were very coachable on the sideline. I thought their approach to every series was that it was going to happen on this series. So they didn't let, previous failures lead into that next series. And I just, that's the growth that I think this team's had with guys like Parker and Ty, moving into those roles and really establishing, what it was going to feel like when we went back out on the field. And Ty really did a good job leading the guys to the sideline.
Go to Hunter on the left side.
Yeah, just how would you assess Ryan Williams' growth over the last few weeks, both on and off the field?
Ryan's been great. He's, I think everybody saw his reaction on the fourth down play where, he had a tough catch and didn't make it, and he'd made so much progress, I think, in the last 2 weeks catching the football. But I think there's there's things in the blocking scheme where Ryan has been more involved in making sure he's on the field when we're running the football as well. And I think Ryan's as hard on himself as anybody. So for us, just keeping Ryan engaged and being here, being in the building, staying active in his preparation.
Got a question from the back middle, Alex.
There's probably no absolutes, but when you look at the running game, are you seeing a lack of vision? Are you seeing a lack of blocking? Where's the disconnect between what you guys are calling and getting the production on the field?
Well, it's all, it's not one thing. It never is, whether it's pass protection, run blocking, all those things work together. So for us, I think, it's runners pushing the hole enough, make sure that we're pressing the cut long enough. It's the type of double teams, it's the execution of the double teams. And so certainly, from the previous question, that's obviously one of the things that we've spent a lot of time on, evaluating types of runs, the type of double team, how we're coaching those things, how we're talking to the guys, the communication at the line of scrimmage, everything was up for grabs. So for us, I think reassessing some of the things that we do well and that we execute at a high level and that the guys, that it pretty much, suits the runners that we have. So we've really looked at that, and I think the last two practices have done a really, really good job on that.
Go to Colin on the front row on the left.
Kind of in that same vein, the LSU game last year was kind of this, time for Alabama to kind of emerge in the run game, and I'm curious about what your message is to a guy like Jam or Daniel Hill, guys that could see an opportunity to kind of break through and kind of set the tone for the rest of the November in the run game.
Well, I think it's each room. There's a message that has to happen. Just about getting excited about running the football. I think there's a piece there too for the coaching staff that it can't be the woe is me, like, dog cussing them every time something doesn't work. It's got to be like, let's get excited about running the friggin' ball. Let's get excited about fixing some of the issues that we clearly are seeing on film, and let's go out there and flex on some people a little bit. And I think that the guys have kind of taken that, mentality going into this game that, we can run the ball and we can be effective doing it, not just like a subpar average team. We can run it well. And I'm looking for the guys to go out there and prove that.
We'll finish up with Katie, second row on the left.
You obviously can't tell us the stuff you saw on self-scout, but just kind of what are some of the areas for the offense, if it is the run game or anything that you want to see the biggest improvement coming out of the bye for this last month of the regular season?
Yeah, schematically, there'd be nothing I'd mention there, but I think I wish I had something cooler to tell you guys, but really the reality is I told the guys very few football games in my career have we got done with the game and been like, man, I wish I had had more flood concepts in, or I wish I'd had more inside zone concepts. Typically, it's like we need to block better, we got to tackle better, right? So for us, it's always coming back to basics. So for us, the blocking circuits, the ball security circuits, take care of the football, all the things that really are the grind of the season that you don't, you never want to be very far away from. And so for our guys, keeping them in tune with that like we are every week and letting them know that football games in the fourth quarter, some of the throws that Ty made were accompanied by really good pass protection. Some of the run hits that happened at really key moments at the end of the game were really good technique on blocking. So just keeping the guys in tune with that has to continue to improve. I thought one of the things we've done a good job of through the season so far is taking care of the ball. So yesterday there was a couple moments where I didn't feel like we were protecting the ball the way we have, and those things were addressed. So for our guys, just realizing how important the details of all the type of schematics that go into just drill structure and getting great at those things. And our guys believe in that too. It's not I never feel like I'm wasting my breath when we show clips or talk to the guys about pad level, double teams, foot placement, hand placement, where am I putting my hands when I'm catching the football. So felt great about that. I felt great about the guys' reaction to it.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Appreciate it.
Go ahead.
All right.
Have Coach make his opening statement.
Yeah, just a quick quick wrap up of last week or 2 weeks ago. I thought I do think as a football team we continue to find a lot of fight and find ways to win football games when it matters most. I thought defensively we had some very timely takeaways. The pick six early in the game, obviously, and then finding a way to take the ball away the last drive of the game and giving our offense an opportunity to score. We also had 6 3-and-outs in the game that were really critical as well. Still some explosive plays that we've got to continue to find ways to eliminate. And we gave up an explosive play for a touchdown, which is something that is uncharacteristic, but certainly unacceptable in that regard. So those are areas that we keep working and fighting. As we moved into a bye week last week, I think you're able to evaluate yourself and look at some of the things that you're doing well, some of the things that you've got to continue to improve upon, and then even from a fundamental standpoint, areas that you can get better. I talk to the guys about this all the time. Good football teams get better. Good football players get better as the season goes on. And if you don't, you're giving somebody else an opportunity to bridge the gap. And so I think we're doing a good job in that regard. I thought our players handled the bye week with maturity. I thought they had a sense of urgency and then had some much needed and much earned time away as well, which is important. And obviously they got to get away a little bit. Had Halloween going on, all that stuff. Guys got to do all that stuff. As families, we got a chance to do those things as well. Which watching the trick or treating and people go crazy for a candy bar really concerns me about the moral fiber of our country moving forward. But back to work, so I don't have to worry about those things. I don't look at the news. I don't look at anything. So that was the only chance I got to see the outside world, and it wasn't pretty. So anyway, that being said, looking ahead to LSU, this is a very dangerous football team. They are as explosive as we have seen. This is as talented of an offensive skill group that we have seen, with a very experienced quarterback. I think you watch Garrett, where he was a year ago to the decisions that he's making now. He does a better job of making throws under duress. He does a better job of taking care of the football. He's got some real toughness and moxie to making critical throws, even when it's not a clean pocket. You look at their tight end, he's probably a top 10 pick in the NFL. I mean, he's a truly elite football player. You look at their receiving core, there's just multiple players that a 5-yard hitch route can go for 50 yards and a touchdown. And so those are things that we've got to be mindful of. I think their offensive line is taking steps and strides in the right direction. They're young, but they're physical. I think they're more physical than where they were a year ago as an offensive line. Their running backs are very dynamic. All of them are, track style players, run, whatever their high school times, and you look at some of the GPS numbers that they've had. And so this, like any great Alabama-LSU matchup, will be a tremendous challenge for us, and one that our players seem to have a great sense of urgency for. I thought we had a great Sunday practice yesterday. Guys came in the way you would want them coming in after a couple of days on a bye week. So very, very much looking forward to the week ahead, and looking forward to putting a great product on the field in Bryant-Denny on Saturday.
All right, thanks, Coach. Let's start with Chase on the far left.
Can you speak to the difference in the run defense with Tim Keenan on the field versus Keenan off the field?
Well, I think, Tim is such a physical presence in that, those A gaps and some of the things that we're able to do with him from a zero nose standpoint, where he's head up to the center. We've got a few different fronts that we operate where he's playing a zero nose. Anytime that you can, two gap and create some havoc, and then some of the blocking schemes and the way people have to block versus a zero nose versus a shade. He can be influential in 4-down looks, absolutely, but some of the things that he's doing, up front when we show a zero nose as well is just very disruptive. And so those are things that, great to watch and see the strides that he's taking right now and the steps that he's taken. Him and Deontay Lawson were our power players of the week last week. Both those guys have overcome adversity and injury, and I think are moving in a trajectory right now where they're playing their best football.
Got 2 questions on the right. Let's start with Nick, then we'll go to Charlie.
New play call for them, Alex Atkins. What do you know about him as an OC, and what are you expecting from the offense with him calling plays?
Yeah, Alex, I've known Alex for a long time. Alex was at UT Martin under Jason Simpson, Ty's dad, right before I was there at UT Martin, and he's had a great career. Very well-respected offensive line coach and an offensive mind. You look at some of the things that they have done over the years in the run game, and been very balanced offensively where he's been as well. So, obviously, to have in a situation like they're in right now, to have someone that they can go to. Like Alex is a great luxury for them. I think, when you look at it, you're trying to anticipate what we might see slightly different from what they're doing. Everybody has an identity, and everybody really shapes that identity around what their players are doing well in that given point in the season. But most certainly you have to anticipate and expect for there to be some wrinkles, and, some of them will try to anticipate and work. Others will see what shows up on Saturday and will adjust. That's what good defensive staffs do.
Charlie, go ahead.
In a similar vein, I think you're also familiar with Frank Wilson, their interim coach.
Yeah.
What do you know about him, and what do you maybe expect from a team led by him going in Saturday?
Yeah, Frank was my position coach in college, I love Frank. I mean, he was he was a very influential, impactful coach. I think he's very intentional with his players. He's intentional in the recruiting process. I think I'm a better football coach and player, because of my time with Frank Wilson. And so I have just tremendous amount of respect for him. I can't think of a better person to step in at LSU in a place that he cares deeply for that program and that state, and what this means to him. And he'll have that team ready to go. They will be motivated. They'll be ready. They'll be well prepared. And so certainly have a great appreciation for him personally. And, obviously he'll have that team ready, and always neat to see people that along the line, of your path and career, have great success. And certainly Frank is one of those.
Go to Katie, second row on the left.
You kind of hit on this in Nick's question, but how much more challenging did it make your bye week knowing you're facing LSU offense with the same players, but maybe with a new play caller, and kind of, you talked about you have to anticipate, but kind of how did that change things for you prep-wise?
Well, the film is the film, right? And you look at what a team does. That offensive staff came up with a game plan together. I'm sure there were certain things and certain ideas that maybe their offensive coordinator previously had done to what maybe Alex might want to do, but at the same time, they're utilizing their players in a very good way. They have athletes that they can get the football in space. They're finding creative ways in the run game to hit explosive plays. And I know, maybe they're not as consistent as they'd like to be in the run game, but they're also very dangerous in the run game because they've created explosive plays in just about every football game. And when they do get out in space with those running backs, they can hit home runs. So, we'll look at, and try to anticipate what we think that they're going to do, maybe that might be slightly different tweaks. We're certainly going to prepare for the things that they have put on film already. And then again, you might carry one or two more things in terms of volume defensively, just if they want to go this direction or that direction. But that's the nice thing about going into week 9, 10, including bye weeks, right? We have a large volume of defense that we can go and adjust to based off of whatever we're seeing in that week's game plan.
Let's go to Colin, front left.
Hicken, what have you seen, I guess, throughout the month of October from Dijon Lee? Got a lot more playing time. How has he progressed? What other steps do you want to see him?
Yeah, I think Dijon, young players, right, in big moments, some of it is just overcoming the moment. And I think, think about Dijon. I mean, the very first play of his college career, right, against Florida State, he gives up a big bomb. You see some guys that can wreck them for weeks on end, and he just went right back to work and has made plays, on deep balls downfield, has made plays on situational downs for us. I think he's very physical in his presence in the run game. I think, he's continuing to just sharpen his tools in terms of what he's doing fundamentally. He has a much better understanding of what we're doing schematically. He's a great communicator for a freshman out there on the field. I think he does a really good job communicating with the linebackers and safeties out there. And so he is taking the steps in the right direction that you would want for a young starting corner to take.
Let's go to Theo on the far left.
Coach, we've seen some big moments out of Janze making the most out of his opportunity. Talk about his growth these past couple weeks, and then what do you think we can expect out of him as Roussel works his way back onto the field for you?
Yeah, I think Janze is taking steps in the right direction, and just becoming a more consistent football player down in and down out. Obviously you see some of the production in the passing game and his ability to affect the quarterback. But in large part, you look at the Tennessee game, his sacks were because he was doing his job. And when you just do your job consistently at a high level, you're going to create more production for yourself. And so it's fun to watch Janze and the maturity and that he has, how he has grown over the last year and a half, 2 years here that I've spent with him. And he's got a very impressive skill set. And it's always you watch a guy when they do their job more consistently and they're rewarded through production, there's a confidence that you start seeing a player play with, and I think you're seeing that from Janze right now in terms of the confidence that he is starting to play with. There's a confidence in a number of our guys that we're starting to see, and I told our players that's an earned confidence. You've earned that confidence to overcome adversity, to go create production, to go do your job at a high level, and we got to continue to see that. And then certainly, I think you asked a question about Quay Russaw. Quay's doing a really good job right now. Our training staff has done a tremendous job with him and preparing him to get back as soon as possible, and he has done a great job of pushing and is hitting all the markers he needs to hit, and certainly we anticipate him to be back sooner than later.
Finish up with Joe, just right in the middle there.
Coach, what do you see in Garrett Nussmeier, and particularly how difficult is it to defend him in the RPO game with what they've been doing lately?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of like how efficient they are in the RPO game. The perimeter screens, the throws downfield, and the vertical, slant glance game as well is an extension of their run game. And so sometimes you look at it and you go, well, they're only running the ball for this. Yeah, but they're doing certain things in the run game that are opening up things in the passing game, the RPO game, right? And so, those are things that he is navigating them really well. He's making really good decisions in terms of handing the run off or throwing the RPO based off of the numbers that he's seeing in the box or the rotations and leverages that he's seeing right now. And he, you can tell he's very confident in knowing where to go with the ball, and that's allowing them to be pretty efficient offensively. Okay, thanks, guys. Roll Tide.
Coach gets ready, we'll go ahead and make an opening statement and we'll take questions whenever you're ready, Coach.
Yep, you bet. Good morning. Just coming off the bye week, I think it was very productive. Guys got chance to get their bodies freshened up and mind as well. Yesterday was a great practice for us, full of energy and getting a chance to dial in the end of the week and going into yesterday on LSU, and just always focusing on continuing to improve. I think that our guys still really believe that that's the case. That needs to be the mindset we always have in our program. But heading into this game against LSU, we expect nothing but their best, a high level of energy. It's going to be a great environment. I'll just add that we need our fans to continue to be what they've been and show up and, continue to make Bryant-Denny Stadium the hardest place to play in the country.
Coach, let's start with Charlie here on the far right.
Yeah, Coach, do you have any kind of comment or statement on Drake Kirkpatrick Jr.?
Yeah, totally. Unfortunately, with this information that I have at this time, talk to Dre, and we need to indefinitely suspend him, and he understands there's consequences that come with his actions.
Go to Chase on the side.
If you could update on a couple of injuries or guys kind of coming back. Vandemark would be one, Danny Lewis Jr., and then also Quay Russaw, who's been out longer.
Yep. Vandemark is making good progress. Been practicing this last week, so I expect him to be ready to go. Quay has made, I think I mentioned last week, he's made good progress. That continues to be the case. Probably don't expect him to be ready to go this weekend, but he's doing a lot more than he has, and it's very promising with the direction he's been going. And then Danny Lewis, we'll see how things go through this week. But the bye week was certainly good. He wasn't able to play, the previous week. So, I'm hopeful that he'll be ready to go. But we expect him to be on the football field practicing with us more this week than he has the previous two.
Nick on the far right.
Yeah, you've had a lot of successful post-bye games. How similar to the prep that you saw last week and just coming into this week to those successful times?
Yeah, I think it just really goes into having a great staff that puts a great game plan together, gets it dialed in a timely manner. when you have players that go make plays and they can get those extra practices in on a great game plan and go execute, that's really what matters. It's really what it comes down to. And so, I expect the same thing with our staff. They've done a great job, really focused and have the routine down, the timeline of when we want to install certain things, having practices that are fresh and, guys excited to be out there on the football field, continue to get better. So, yesterday, like I said, was a great practice. It wasn't long, but it was just, a dialed-in Sunday practice and, looking forward to getting on the field tomorrow, Tuesday, and I think our guys are really excited about it as well.
Go to Colin on the front left.
Hey, Kalen. Not only this week, but kind of looking ahead to, it doesn't seem like you guys have to leave the state of Alabama, like through your final 4 games, and I'm curious about what, I don't know, is that a point in your guys' favor? What are the kind of the pros and cons of not having to travel, far for an SEC game?
Yeah, I guess I hadn't even thought of it in terms of not even having to leave the state, but I thought of it in terms of having a number of home games, and that's been great for us. It doesn't guarantee anything. I think it still comes down again to the preparation, but we definitely feel there's a home field advantage playing here at Bryant-Denny, as I said, and so we're looking forward to having these teams come to our place, and our goal and as always is to protect our house, and so the guys really take a lot of pride in that, and want to continue to do that and uphold the streak that we have.
All right, let's go on the far left. We'll finish up with Hunter. You're good? Any other questions? Okay, yeah, let's go Emily Grace. Coming on your left side.
Short and sweet. What sticks out to you about playing LSU?
Well, this is going to be a physical game. It was last year. I think it always has been. That's the tradition here. You can see what their team is made up of. It's physical players. I think they got elite skill, both offensively and defensively, whether it's coverage or being able to win on the perimeter and the running backs as well. So, this rivalry goes way back. You do the introduction with our team and talk about I think it was 1895, if I remember right, doing the research, and that's a lot of games that have happened between these two schools, and so we're looking at this as one of those rivalry games that I was told much about when I first got here. So it's going to be, again, a great environment, a lot of pride, both for our program and theirs as well.
And we do have, Hunter, you do have
Yep.
a question on far left. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry about that. Just what have you seen from Ryan Williams' growth over the last few weeks, both on and off the field?
Yeah, as I've always said, whenever adversity comes, it's your response. And I think any type of adversity he's ever had, his response is always to go attack. And whether it's coming off of an injury or whether it's coming off of, just him wanting to play better than he did the week before, it's always 100%. He's from a character trait, just humility that he has. He's all about the team 100%. When he really focuses on that and trying to be the best he can, which is really the case all the time, man, it's just so much fun being on the football field with him every day in practice. And, he runs his routes full speed. He's doing the extra work before practice, after practice. No one on our team is ever going to question the work that he puts in and how important it is to him. But, he's continued to attack, just getting better, and I think that's shown up. We're all human, so he's not going to be perfect, but he's really continued to hone in on the things that matter, and I think you're continuing to see him trend up.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.